with
Touchdown, Auburn!
the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Off to the inside, intercepted Alabama. Touchdown!
And everything college and high school sports. Now, let's join Andy, Brett, Randy, and Luke for this edition of Sports Blitz Live.
Good Saturday morning. Welcome into the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown. I'm Randy Lee alongside Scott Hardy, and we'll be here with you until 9 o'clock this morning. Taking your phone calls, 256-234-6221, and running down high school scores from Thursday and Friday night, getting you set for the playoff run that will begin next week here in the state of Alabama, and we'll be there for all of it. Hopefully we'll be there broadcasting a lot of it, but if not, we'll be there to watch along with the rest of you here in the state of Alabama, and we'd love to hear from you. If you're at ball games this week, if you've got teams that are looking forward to a playoff run, give us a phone call, 256-234-6221. Scott, you count your blessings when your team gets into playoffs, and the Wildcats finished the season 8-2 last night with a 35-19 victory over Valley. Second consecutive 8-2 season for the start of Smitty Grider's tenure here at Benjamin Russell High School, and I think that's where we'll start this morning, man. When you're in 6A and you're at the level that we currently are from an enrollment standpoint, and you go 8-2 in consecutive years to start your tenure, I don't know what more you could ask for here in Alex City than what Smitty Grider is giving us. We win the region championship this year for the first time since 2013. We had a great team last year. He's doing an excellent job.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I think it also puts into perspective for a community that has had so much success. When you go through little lulls, when you don't have it, it puts in, you know, I think you appreciate it more when you have the type of talent and staff that we have now. And as you said, back-to-back 8-win seasons, first region championship since 2013. So the Wildcat program seems to be on an upward trajectory, and a lot of that has to do with the community support that's been displayed and making sure that our kids have the resources and our staff can go out and do the things necessary to be productive each and every Friday night. But big win last night, and I think that there was some talk maybe amongst some in the community whether or not you maybe should sit some guys or whatever. When you're a team like ours who's starting to really play their best ball, you didn't want to do anything to disrupt that momentum. And even though you had Malcolm Simmons out and a couple players did go out as, you know, the game went on, but having that consistent momentum of having guys playing, especially on the offensive side, is something that we've been asking for. And I think last night was a great culmination of that.
Well, competitive spirit and the want to go out there and win all of your games and continue to, you know, just check mark up wins, and 8 wins in both regular seasons. Really, really, really solid performance so far over the last couple of years. Malcolm did sit. Caden Hyde sat. Had a number of players that had some nagging things going on last night on both sides of the ball. I want to start with Valley. Valley finishes the season 7-3. They will host, after finishing second in the region behind Central Clay, they'll host a first-round matchup. In 5A, when you talk about athletes, there can't be many that have any better athletes than Valley does. Got one of the top quarterbacks in the state in Cam Dooley, one of the top athletes, if not the top athlete in the state in Cam Dooley. I saw yesterday on some rankings that they had out for high school basketball this upcoming year that he's the 4th-ranked high school prospect in the state of Alabama, 6'4", 6'5" guy that is dynamic for a team in 5A that went 33-0 last year, and the first team to go undefeated in quite some time and finish off a state championship. And Valley will look to do that again this year, as I think 4 of their 5 starters are back. And we saw all 4 of those guys out there on the football field last night. But I'll start there with Valley. Valley is as talented as you're going to see anyone in the state of Alabama from an athlete standpoint.
You know, sometimes it's hard to see how guys are. You know, they come in and they're highly ranked and they don't really get the opportunity to show exactly what made them that. Last night, you can see it immediately and what Dooley's able to do. And he just looks the part. Like, he's long and lanky and just very athletic, and his strides are very long. So they have a quarterback that will keep them in a lot of games, and so not saying that they're going to make a long run, but they'll be a tough out with his ability to do things offensively. And, they have some guys that they can get the ball to, and defensively they weren't bad either. I mean, I think that they'll be able to play with a lot of teams, but this is a Valley team that, we're familiar with. We used to play them back in the day, but it was good to really finish out the season strong and put an exclamation mark on what was a very competitive and great regular season for the Wildcats.
That was the 49th meeting between Valley and Benjamin Russell, with Benjamin Russell holding a 31-18 margin. So not many teams that we played more historically than Valley. Had some great games there that many that you and I can remember, but especially back in, the 60s and 70s where Valley was competing for championships and we were in the same border conference together for a long period of time. And so that rivalry for that generation probably is pointed to as much as any out there. And so it was good to see the two teams back out on the field. They matched up really well last night, and I hope that Valley has a strong run moving into the playoffs, and I look forward to covering them this year and broadcasting them in basketball. But a great win. Gabe Benton was outstanding again. I haven't seen the final stats for the Wildcats, but I would guess well over 300 yards passing. Didn't have to run the football last night, so you won't see any rushing yards. But as the playoffs start, expect him to, to be available to run the football where needed. T.J. Wilson, over 100 yards rushing last night. Had 70 yards on one single drive there in the second quarter that was outstanding to see right after Valley had scored their first touchdown, able to come back down and score again, just running the football. Cedarian Morgan had a little coming out party last night. He had 410 yards in receiving throughout the season, but last night probably 160, 170 yards in receptions. He had a 52-yard touchdown reception, a 66-yard touchdown reception, and then also went back in the Wildcat and scored a touchdown from there. Cedarian is a 6'3", 6'4", 210-pound sophomore, an outstanding athlete. Has the ability to run away from defenders, split the defense with Dooley back at safety last night. We ran a post where we split their cover two, and a nice pass by Gabe, and once Cedarian got it, the other two defenders practically just stopped running because they realized they weren't going to catch him. That's something that will show up on the film. So he was our player of the game, along with Ja'Cory Stone on the defensive side of the ball, who really played well last night. So, Scott, some new names that maybe we've called at times, but not quite as much, and they got an opportunity last night, and they really played well.
Yeah, and you guys mentioned it after that first touchdown on air. This could be an opportunity not necessarily for the staff because they know what Cedarian is, but maybe people in the community who've heard the name coming into the season, and because of how things have gone this year, wasn't necessarily somebody that we had to rely on because of the other plethora of talent at the receiving corps positions, but he's going to be – Caleb Spivey may end up being the most highly ranked recruit we have, but I think that from just name recognition, all that, I think Cedarian may go down as one of the best ones we've ever had. He's somebody that can make some noise on the basketball floor as well, but he really reminds me of like a Julio Jones type of receiver, an Andre Johnson type of receiver, very big, but also has the ability to take off if necessary. But very excited for him, and also from a defensive standpoint, as you said, I thought Stone had a really great game, and it was good to see on the offensive line as well. Michael Moten getting some playing time, and he's somebody that I think will be a contributor moving forward for the Wildcats as we continue to build upon the program. But I think a player that I really want to highlight, and he's been a major catalyst in the success we've had over the last few weeks, is David Lawson. And we've seen what he's able to do when he gets the ball, and was kind of a non-factor for the first half of the season. And this run that the Wildcats have been on recently has a lot to do with him, and he's somebody that I think that we can rely on, especially once you get into the red zone. There's a lot of things you can do with him. So it's good to see everybody coming along at the right time. Probably
7 or 8 catches for David last night with a touchdown, over 100 yards in receiving, which will take him up to around 500 yards in receptions on the year. It's been a great senior year for him. He's a physical kid that when he gets his opportunities, he takes advantage of it, blocks really well, probably the best blocker that we have on the perimeter also. So great to see the way that he's playing. And Noah Long, I thought, was really good on the defensive side last night. Stone got an opportunity to play because Hyde was out. And, boy, he took advantage of it. And I told Smitty after the game, I said, you're going to turn that film on. You're going to see how well he played. He made some open field tackles that if he didn't make them with Dooley scores touchdowns on at least 2 of those plays. So very impressed with him. He's only a junior. He'll have a lot more time to be out there and playing. But a great win last night. Moved to 8-2. Next Thursday night, a lot of the teams here in the state of Alabama will play on Thursday because Veterans Day is on Friday. It's a day where the kids are out of school, teachers, administration out of school. Makes it tough to kind of keep everybody intact, I would guess. Not that it's impossible because a lot of teams here in the state will play on Friday. But the Wildcats will play on Thursday night against Sidney Lanier here at the Sportplex. Be the first home game in the playoffs for quite some time. I'm going to probably say 7 years. Does that feel good to you?
Tyree's senior year, probably.
I think we also. I think we had a home playoff game 2 years after that in 2017. We finished second to Wetumpka, and we welcomed Saraland back here after we had beaten Saraland, I think 48-10 in 2015, and 2017 they returned the favor. I think they got us pretty good that night, 35-7 or something like that. But nonetheless, this will be the first home playoff game, first region title since 2013. I hope that we bring a big crowd out there. Thursday night, I bet that we do. I think there'll be a lot of support out there for the Wildcats on Thursday night against a team that Viger handled pretty easily this week, 48-7. Sidney Lanier. I know Viger is a very good 5A program, but, hey, when you're playing the 4 seed and you're the 1 seed, you better take advantage of that, and I hope that we do next Thursday.
Yeah, I think we're a long way from where we were 15 years ago playing those Montgomery schools and some of the disastrous games that we saw during that stretch. So I think the Wildcats are positioned well to take advantage of the matchup next Thursday, but you never want to take anything for granted. But it would be great also by playing on Thursday, an extra day of rest, extra day of preparation too, if you're able to get this win heading into week 2 of the playoffs. But it's just good to be back and consistently back-to-back years in the playoffs, and I think that we're very poised to see that continue. And, you know, when you have programs across the state who traditionally have had really great records and great programs are seeing their coaches leave, I think as a community we have to be very appreciative and understanding of what we have here in Alex City and making sure that those people that are in these positions are appreciated, and I think that our community is doing a great job of doing so. 256-234-6221 is our phone number. We're going to talk high school sports this entire first hour, move into college sports, Auburn, Alabama football in the second hour, but we'll take your phone calls. We'll run down some other scores from last night, try to get into playoff bracket and matchups, talk about some other local area teams here in the Lake Martin region and how they performed throughout the season, because several ended their year last night and several ended their year like Horseshoe Bend and Coosa with wins last night. So congratulations to both of those programs. More of the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Sportz Auto Sales, Highway 280 in Kellyton, Alabama is home-owned and home-operated. If you're looking for tires, they have it. If you're looking for a vehicle, they have them. Great selection. Always out looking for more just for you, the customer. And if you're looking for service, whether you buy the vehicle from them or whether you buy the vehicle somewhere else, they do service work and got a great crew there. Keep this in mind. Don't you go by Sportz Auto Sales on Highway 280 in Kellyton today.
What's the verdict?
Can't fix your heat pump. Need a new one.
Uh-oh. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Daikin.
Call on Kevin Kill in Sunshine Heating and Air at 256-825-4849, Central Alabama's premier Daikin dealer.
So what's he thinking?
Oh, he's thinking Daikin.
Daikin, one of the top selling in the world.
Now I'm thinking Daikin.
Daikin. Comfort for life.
Russell Do-It Center and building supply stores have the tools and materials to get the job done right, whether you're a professional contractor or just a weekend do-it-yourselfer. With everyday customer conveniences like a drive-through lumberyard, price match promise, and our best rewards program, each of our 9 locations offer top brands and building materials like lumber, hardware, tools, paint, lawn and garden, and much more. Visit today and see what Russell Do-It Center and Building Supply can help you build tomorrow.
The Eric McKinley team at Mortgage Pro continues to excel in making sure our clients have a smooth and pleasant experience with home financing needs. Families are struggling to make ends meet due to price increases and high interest rates on credit cards. Monthly debt can cripple a family from enjoying the special times in life. Property values are holding strong, and now is the time to take advantage of the equity in your home, saving hundreds of dollars a month. No money out of pocket and no payment until January 2024. Call the Eric McKinley team at Mortgage Pro today.
The coast is here. Wharf Casual Seafood is serving up all your favorites: shrimp and grits, po' boys, tacos, seafood platters, and so much more. Don't miss out on our famous loaded fried green tomatoes. Wharf Casual Seafood is located on Highway 280 next to Regions Bank.
Hello, I'm Karen Chanel, your State Farm agent in Alexander City, Alabama, and the greater Lake Martin area. I want to talk to you a little bit today about your discounts. How many of you are entitled to discounts that you may or may not be receiving? One of the easiest discounts on your homeowner's insurance is that of having a fire extinguisher. Coupled with a deadbolt lock and a smoke alarm, that gives you an automatic discount on your homeowner's policy.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area a team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice. Bice Motors.
Scores around the state, Scott, 256-234-6221 is our phone number. If you are out watching games, you got games we want to highlight or playoff matchups that you'd like for us to highlight, please give us a call. Baker defeats Mountain Brook after going behind like 20 points in the first half. Baker storms back and wins the game pretty handily, 37-28. Tells you a lot about the southern part of the state this year. You got a few teams down there like Mary Montgomery and Baker and some others that their matchups in the north in 7A are going to be a lot better than what we've seen in previous years, Scott, and that's a big win for Baker and a really good matchup for Baker there going in Week 10 against the Mountain Brook 6A program.
Yeah, and we've been watching it, the last few weeks and just some of these scores, and Baker's been one of those teams that we've been talking about could really make some noise depending on the right matchup. But I think you'll see more competitiveness in this 7A bracket than what we've seen previously. 37-28, Baker over Mountain Brook. It was Phoenix City over Prattville, 48-7. Daphne over Hillcrest Evergreen, 50-18. Dothan defeats Jag, 57-12. Enterprise over Percy Julian, 56-13. Fairhope defeated Briarwood Christian last night, 24-14. Foley over Jackson Olin, 38-26. It was Huntsville over Hazel Green, 56-13. Vestavia all over Helena, 44-0. The discrepancy between the top end of 7A and 6A is an amazing difference. So far this year, Vestavia played Helena and Homewood, who are really good teams. We've seen both of them. Made the playoffs in our region, and Briarwood defeated, Homewood last week. So it tells you what kind of matchups our region is going to send 4 teams in. But in those 2 games, Vestavia has outscored Helena and Homewood by 87 points, 87-0 this year. Scott, we talk about it a lot. You can get a Clay Chalkville from time to time to match up with Thompson and win like we've seen this year. But for the most part, 7A and the difference that you see in the talent that you see up there, it's amazing to see, isn't it? It is. And, you're talking about 2 teams you said that are playoff teams, that one of those teams beat Benjamin Russell, and so it puts things into perspective, maybe what a matchup would have looked like if we'd have played a team like that. But you're right, the top end, and a lot these schools too, especially like Helena, kind of close. They're very close. Maybe when the new classification comes, they're maybe 7A.
I think they're the largest 6A school, and I think the expectation is they're going to be 7A.
So, that's tough when you. So, it's an adjustment period, but it does show just how deep it is in 7A, especially at the top end.
Saraland defeat McGill-Tulane 70-27. Wow. Here's you another 7A, 6A matchup with a team that we've seen. Spain Park defeated Pelham 39-0. The deal is also they don't even score. It's not like they even have a chance. They get beat 44-0, 39-0. And that's a Pelham team that we beat, but it was close. And we've lost to them the 2 previous years. And then they match up with a team in Vestavia who's got a chance, I think. I mean, what are they, 8-2 on the season? Yeah. They got a chance. They're much improved compared to where they were, say, 5 years ago, but still not to the level that I would expect maybe a Thompson, Phoenix City have distanced themselves in Class 7A. But Spain Park 39-0, that's a shocking score to see.
Yeah, and it is surprising, though, just the lack of competitiveness you see in these games, and you're right, they're not even scoring. So, I mean, and these are really good football teams. So, just, again, touts how great 7A is. 7A,
Tuscaloosa County over Brookwood, 42-14. Let's move down into Class 6A, give you some scores. Athens over Russellville, 41-14. Baldwin County defeated Robertsdale, 43-13. Benjamin Russell, as we talked about the entire first segment, 35-19 winners to move to 8-2. Finished number 1 in the region, and we'll welcome Sidney Lanier at the Sportplex next Thursday night. Keep that in mind. Not a Friday night game next week, but a Thursday night game. So I'd love for you to come out and support the Wildcats. Blunt defeated Murphy 26-6. It was Buckhorn over Grissom 17-13. Chilton County finishes out their season with a win over Marbury 53-18. Fort Payne over Cherokee County 21-14. Hartselle, that's a team that I think they went 12-0 last year and lost there in the third round of the playoffs and went 12-1, and they got a really good team again this year as Hartselle defeated Bob Jones last night 35-21. It was Homewood defeating Jasper 38-14. That Homewood team making it into the playoffs. We'll talk brackets, and with the bracket talk, Hueytown will be part of Benjamin Russell's talk. Hueytown on Thursday night defeated Gardendale 47-28. That was a good win for Hueytown. They'll match up with Theodore in the first round of the playoffs. Theodore last night, we'll get to that score in a second, but defeated St. Paul's 20-10. That was a big game in that region to decide which one's going to be the 3rd seed and which one's going to be the 4th seed. Hueytown will welcome Theodore to them. If we were to defeat Sidney Lanier, my understanding is if Hueytown were to win, they'd come to us. If Theodore were to win, we'd go to them. So it'd be a long trip, and I couldn't point to a matchup that I would say is any closer than Hueytown and Theodore in the state. When I look at it, when I go and look at all the scores and think about the Bows and the Joes that are going to be out there for both teams, Scott, that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, and it's good to see that name. Like, Theodore's has been a team that, we've seen consistently throughout the years. It's been a pretty tough out, and Hueytown defeats Benjamin Russell in the playoffs last year, so you'd like that opportunity, but not thinking too far ahead. But if in that event, if we did have to go to Theodore, then more than likely you're looking at a home game against Spanish Fort the next week. So
I don't think, Spanish Fort, that's right. Yeah. Spanish Fort will be 3rd round, Saraland 4th round if you make it that far.
So there's could be a lot of Mobile and Baldwin County area schools in this, but obviously as Wildcats you want to take care of each game each week. But pretty good matchups there starting off.
Finishing out Class 6A, and then we'll take a break. McAdory defeated Calera 35-31. It was Mortimer Jordan over Fultondale 14-13. Minor over Stanhope Elmore 28-21. Muscle Shoals 9-0 now on the season. They defeat Sparkman 48-7. Northridge over Alma Bryant 21-18. Oxford's got a really good team in 6A again. Defeat Jacksonville 36-7. Pike Road is a team that is in our area that's got a freshman quarterback that many talk about. He's already a special kid throwing for big numbers each week, and they defeat a really game Booker T. Washington team this year that's got the linebacker that's committed to Auburn, 29-16. Russell County over Greenville, 75-43. Theodore, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, defeats St. Paul's in a big region battle, 20-10, and Woodlawn defeated Shelby County 26-19. Actually, not a region battle. That St. Paul's and Theodore, it all depending on who won and the score and the matchup there to decide who's going to go on and finish the third and finish the fourth. But a big win for Theodore, so they finished third, and they got a potential matchup with us moving down the line. We'll go ahead and take another break. We'll come down, we'll run down some scores, 5A through 1A, and then maybe look at the playoff brackets and get your thoughts on the playoffs here in high school sports in Alabama.
Sign Source is your local vendor for commercial and residential sign manufacturing and installation. We offer all kinds of lighted and non-lighted signage, from retail signs, LED message centers, event banners, vehicle wraps, the whole spectrum. We also offer service and repair on existing signs, as well as retrofitting to LED or installation of outsourced signage. We have the knowledge necessary to fulfill all of your signage needs in the short or long term. Visit signsourcenow.com to get started.
Satterfield Outdoor Living is Lake Martin's trusted friend for your outdoor land and leisure needs. We're the region's authorized Skag mower dealer for residential and commercial lawns and offer all the small engine accessories you need. With top lines of Steel, Echo, Shindaiwa, Husqvarna, and Metabo products that contain any landscape. Satterfield is also your grill headquarters with Big Green Egg Grill. And our pros service everything in-house and back up all sales. Get the Satterfield Outdoor difference on Highway 280 right across from Tallapoosa Ford.
You want the best opportunity to be successful in life. You deserve that opportunity. Well, you just happens to be in our motto. Central to you, central to your success. Your future is right now. Don't wait. Make your dreams a reality by enrolling at Central Alabama Community College. Register today at cacc.edu.
Alex City Internal Medicine and Nephrology and Weight Loss Center provides optimum care for the whole person. Dr. Dimo Popov specializes in the prevention and diagnosis of high blood pressure, kidney disease, diabetes, and acute and chronic conditions. Our weight loss clinic offers lipo shots and a guide to healthy weight loss. Alex City Internal Medicine and Nephrology and Weight Loss Center, where lifestyle changes are made.
Hillaby Towers is an affordable senior citizens community located in Alexander City on Highway 22 East. Spacious one-bedrooms are available now. Great location, peaceful setting, comfortable living where pets are allowed and utilities are included. Call today to find out more information on Alexander City's best-kept secret, 256-329-0552. That's Hillaby Towers in Alexander City.
Get a ghoulishly good deal all month long at Opelika Ford. Take advantage of spectacular discounts on their entire inventory of brand new Fords. Plus, rates as low as 1.9% APR for 60 months. Shop OpelikaFordChrysler.com. Get a ghoulishly good deal all month long at Opelika Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Get their biggest discounts of the year on new Rams, plus 2.9% APR financing for 72 months. Don't miss Ram Power Days at Opelika Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram.
Welcome back into the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown. 256-234-6221 is our phone number. Love to hear from you out there. If you saw games Thursday or Friday night, or if you plan to go out and watch games this upcoming week, give us a phone call. Love to hear from you. Beauregard over Lincoln, 27-7. Looking down Class 5A, Demopolis has got an outstanding team this year, and they'll have a lot to say in the Class 5A playoffs, 43-21. You know, big win for Central Clay last night, 28-7. If you're at the ball game and you got any more specifics on LaDamian Boyd, we'd love to hear from you. Great player, super athlete. Central Clay, Clay County, Lineville, they can produce running backs as well as any part of this state. And Boyd was right there. You know, he just was one that you knew was going to go out there, 1,500, 2,000-yard rusher. Had put up huge stats really in the first half of every game this week because Central Clay hadn't had a close football game this year. I think Benjamin Russell's 30-13 loss to him was maybe the closest game that they've had until last night. That was 28-7. They've run away from everyone. They beat that same Valley team that we played last night 47-0 to tell you how good Central Clay is defensively. But Boyd goes out with an injury.
Yeah.
Tommy Wood was messaging us and was disgusted and hated to see it. Did you get any more specifics on that? Or
I tried to get a little more, and I'll be able to get some this morning. I'll see Chase a little bit later. But it sounded like it was pretty bad knee injury. And like it,
you know, the talk that we had last night was his ankle. And maybe, hey, we don't know. We just know it was a leg injury of some sort, and prayers go out to his family and him and their program. And, you know, I hate to hear it. Week 10, when you have something like that happen with a team that's 10-0 and running through everybody, and all signs point to a deep run in the playoffs, and that still can happen. This team, you know, rallied around last night, still won that football game 28-7 against a Bows and Joes team over at Wetumpka that matches up with them, a 6A to a 5A program, and winning that one pretty easily. But yeah, you still hate to see it when one of your best players go down. So if you have any updates, we'd love to hear from you. 256-234-6221. Run down a few more scores in Class 5A. It was Elmore County over Jemison, 56-6. Eufaula defeated Early County, Georgia, 27-24. A lot of storyline around Gulf Shores this week. News comes out, what, 6:30 last night, Scott?
Yeah.
That Gulf Shores is everything's cleared. They're going to be allowed to play in the playoffs this year. They're the number 1 ranked team in Class 5A. A lot of buzz around, you know, talk of paid players, paid apartment complexes. There's plenty of media out there that's covered this much better than us, and I've steered clear from it and don't know enough about it to have a true opinion on it one way or another. But Gulf Shores will be in this playoff run in Class 5A.
And they have one of the very best in Mr. Royal, and he put on a show last night as well. I think at one point they had like 58 yards of offense and had 28 points, and he had, I think, 3 touchdowns, maybe 4 at that point. Like he put on a show. So they're going to be a tough out, despite whatever has been said over the last couple of weeks.
Gulf Shores 43-21 over BC Rain last night. Hopeful, and 2 schools close to one another. Hopeful just takes it to Tallahassee last night, 54-18. You know, UMS Wright keeps their long streak of making playoff runs intact with a close win over Williamson. Almost missing out on the playoffs this year for the first time in quite some time as UMS Wright defeats Williamson 20-19. Sylacauga's playing better. Sylacauga defeated Piedmont last night 32-31. Either their second or third victory on the season after losing, 16 in a row. I think was
they
the
finished
number.
with 3 wins.
Sylacauga, you could start seeing the scores getting a little closer and them riding the ship, and that's great to see, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, when you see teams that traditionally have had success, and it happens to communities a lot, we've experienced it where it gets cyclical, but big win for them. And I thought the win against Tallahassee kind of gave them that momentum to finish out the rest of the year strong.
Horseshoe Bend, good win for them last night to close their season out 19-10 over Beulah. I think that's the 4th win.
4th win.
Yeah, 4-6 this year, and going through that region that Horseshoe Bend goes through. A very solid team there at Horseshoe Bend, and proud for them. Central Coosa gets a win last night, scores a ton of points, 58-34 over Autaugaville. Coosa getting much better, I think, offensively. Got to continue to work and build the program up on the defensive side, but they got 3 wins on the season, if I'm right. Scored a lot of points on some teams that are pretty good teams even throughout that stretch. And so good win there. So 4 wins for Horseshoe Bend, 3 wins for Central Coosa. If you'd ask both those programs at the start of the season, they may not say that they'd be happy with that, but I think as a fan base, you should be probably pretty happy with those two programs with what you got.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly on Coosa's schedule, but of those 6 losses for Horseshoe Bend, I know for sure 5 were against top 10 teams, and like 4 of those were top 5 teams within those classifications that they played. So they had a gauntlet of a schedule, but 4 wins for Horseshoe Bend. Starting to get very consistent and getting very close to making a playoff run.
Reeltown, we talked a lot about last week as they won another region title over a top 5 team in Class 2A in Highland Homes. So it was a great win for Reeltown. They're probably, them and Central Clay, both ranked 3rd, 1 in 2A and 1 in 5A. The programs that are in front of them, I don't think are any better than the 2 of them are. So as far as just the class of our region, those 2 teams you would point to, and if they made it to a championship game, would not be surprised at all. Benjamin Russell comes in at number 11 this week. They've got an uphill battle to climb to get through a few of the opponents that we'll see down the line, but still, nonetheless, I think we're playing our best football. I think we're coached up as well as anybody out there. We got some really young guys that are starting to play much older and look much better than what we saw, and it hadn't been bad all year, but my point is I do see the improvement, and I do see the chance for us to match up with some teams that earlier in the year I would go, we're going to win some ball games because we've got some talent, but we just got too much youth that we're throwing out there against some of these major programs. Now I don't feel that way. I think that got a chance in all these matchups, and that's all you can ask for. When Brett and I had a back and forth yesterday, and there are a lot of communities out there like us, but there's also a lot that aren't. But we happen to live in one where we've been on the border my whole life. And when I say on the border, I'm talking top 5 lowest enrollment teams in the state in the classification that we're in. When we were going through, you got a really good run. So you got a great run with your classes where you were the top 5 in enrollment in Class 5A. And when y'all had that run, it was like most every Friday night it was boring because we had gone through the gamut of sitting in 6A, and then y'all had the good opportunity to go into 5. And then now that we go and add another classification, we're sitting there, I think, as the 3rd lowest enrollment 6A school in the state. And outside of Chilton County, the only 2 public schools that are we're 8 students from being in 5A. I'm not giving an excuse. I'm also giving it's a tough road to hoe. Look at Chelsea right now. Watch Helena next year if it happens to them. Look at Opelika. I talked to Coach Speakman last night. I love Coach Speakman. That is a nice man. That is a good guy that's been at Opelika for 24 years. They go from 6A up to 7A, Scott, and I don't think they're coming back down. The enrollment numbers are through the roof. But that region they're in, and what did they lose? 5 of the 6 games they lost by less than 5 points. Lost on the last second play. I laugh at it because the only way you can live through it, and talking to him last night, is to kind of laugh through it at times. And they had 19 seniors this year. They're going to have 36 seniors at Opelika next year, so they were kind of building it up. But also I get it. Opelika's, as much as I like Coach Speakman, and I hope that he ends up, and he's going to end up with a great opportunity somewhere, and somebody's going to end up with an outstanding football coach. But Opelika is like Auburn University to me. You go 5-5, you go 4-6. There's some of these programs out there, including Auburn, that you've told me to take a step back. How many times on this program? You look at our historical numbers, Randy, and tell me why a coach should expect to win 10 games a year every year at Auburn University, matching up with the SEC powers that we have to match up, and the 3 best teams in our conference every year, in Alabama, LSU, and Georgia. And you make really good points, and Opelika's in that same boat, and they're one of the smallest enrollment schools there in Class 7A. So, a few minutes over, but I'd like your thoughts on that because it does make it really tough when you happen to be one of those schools on the board.
Yeah, and I'll start with the Benjamin Russell side of it first. We've for, a decade, basically, we've had these conversations of, just how differently things would be if we were in 5A. And I was a big proponent of that. You'd look at the schedule and you'd say, all right, or the success we've had on teams, those – anyway, I'm not even going to go on that. But I'll just say this. I think that Benjamin Russell now just has to accept, like, we're going to be a 6A school, because when the new high school is built, and we've talked about this before, you're looking at somewhere between 12 to 14% enrollment increases when you build a new high school. So that negates probably anything that we could do to, not that we could do, but things that maybe you could help shift some things to maybe where you could get to 5A. But I think that Benjamin Russell, what's going to be the difference is just the depth of those higher end schools. So they have more to choose from, obviously, which gives you more opportunities to put people out there. But just ones-on-ones, I don't think there's anybody that has what we have ones-on-one, at least from a skill position perspective. And so I think that's what it's going to boil down to when you start making these runs. But you talk about Opelika, and so I hate I'd missed the show last week, but I was making the same point that you're making now about Opelika. It's tough. Like, I think that's a great job. It is a great job, but when you have to go through what you have to go through, and when you're competing essentially with Auburn too for kids like and Phoenix, all in that area, it's tough. And so, and they're in your area. I mean, that's who you have to play. So it's Central Phoenix City, it's Auburn, it's Prattville, it's Dothan, it's Enterprise. It's like, that's going to be a tough out for anybody.
And the expectation of that community.
Yeah.
Because that community, I'm 46 years old. I have watched Opelika play for 40 years of my life, as much as probably anyone out there, being, the son of a teacher and all those things. They've always been good. And so the expectation that, yes, things are tough, and yes, the region's tough, and yes, all these other schools around us are growing at a degree that we never really could foresee happening, including Auburn, that's the largest school in the state. It's very difficult. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for it. You really do. You have to put it in perspective, and you need to, and you kind of, it's hard for me not to put my personal hat on and get up here and say what I think of Coach Speakman, because I do think that much of him. He's as personable a guy as there is out there, and I've gotten to meet a lot of them. The guy is he's a good guy, and it's hard to separate your personal feelings on people when you know them and you know how much they care about a program and you know how much they've invested in the program, and when things don't go their way, it makes it tough. And then you have to say, okay, well, let's try to look at it in a different angle and see the reasons that were decided upon. It doesn't make it any easier, but I'm trying to do my job up here and talk through both sides.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I think he was like 45 and 25. So it wasn't like he was he had a bad year this year, and so kind of saw it happening last year, and so the jump to 7A was going to be difficult for them. But I've had my disgruntledness at times with things that Dabo Swinney has said, but I thought that the rant he had this week was spot on. A lot of times as fans, our appreciation does not, or the expectation isn't matched with the appreciation of what your program is doing. If you take a step back and say, obviously, as a Wildcat, I want to go to the state championship and win one every year. But I know that realistically, that's probably not going to happen. So how do you define success? It's winning a region championship. It's making it to the playoffs, putting yourself in a position to win. When you were in school in the 90s, we made it to the quarters nearly every year. You can't get to the championship if you're not there. So I think there's only one team that can win it, and so you don't want to diminish or try to, put down expectations, but at the same time, being realistic will keep you from being disappointed. And I think that happens a lot of times, is that we're just not realistic about what the true expectations are. As a fan of the Wildcats this year, there were a lot of people who were very concerned, earlier in the year about this and that. And, it's like if you thought we were going undefeated, then that was on you. Like, I can't be mad at you for thinking that, but that's your own fault for thinking that. And so when you were replacing 8 guys on defense and you were trying to get guys moving, you're replacing guys on offense, moving people around, yeah, it was going to take a little bit. So anyway, I'm just saying, like, I do agree with what Coach Swinney was saying. I think a lot of times fans particularly who are younger too, I think, or people come from communities that have been spoiled with success, when it doesn't happen, then it's you start pointing fingers instead of maybe looking at what caused it to get here. And maybe it's not something we're doing. Maybe it's just teams have elevated themselves above us, and what do we have to do to try to get in that position?
Being realistic, that's a good. And let's be realistic right now. If you aren't thrilled with what you've gotten out of Smitty Grider at Benjamin Russell, you're nuts. We're 8-2 in 6A. Now, if we were 8-2 in 5A, I'd be like, I expect that. I do. I expect that. I think that's what we are as a community. I think that's what we deserve. But, man, when you're right there and you're the 3rd smallest enrollment school and you go 8-2 for the 2nd consecutive year and you win a region championship with the likes of Helena and Homewood and some of these other very large enrollment schools, then, Muddy, you better count your blessings and you better show that man some appreciation because he's done an amazing job. And I think that there's more to come. I do. I believe that he's building something that can be sustained, and that's very difficult to do in a community like ours that you're just on the border. And I know I hate to go off on a
sorry, that was my fault.
A long
too,
conversation. Well, but I do think about these programs like the Chelseas and the Opelikas of the world and the Helenas possibly next year and some others that are, and it's not that you can't overcome it. I'm not trying to give you a complete pass and an excuse, but gosh, you do have to be realistic with what the difference is with some of these schools here, and it is what it is. 256-234-6221 is our phone number. Love to hear from you. We'll run down some playoff brackets and some matchups for some local area teams when we come back.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice Motors.
Hey, honey, it's Mom. Just wanted to call and check in, see how everything's going. You'll probably say, not to worry. Everything is great. But we miss you. I'll call you back later. How are you? Tell me everything.
Everything's great. I love it here.
This is Joseph Dean with Alabama Funeral Homes. As many of you are aware, we had a fire that significantly damaged our facilities. We were in the process of getting those rebuilt. We apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused the families that we serve. I want you to know that we are capable of handling all of your needs at Frederick Dean Funeral Home of Opelika, which will be servicing Alabama Funeral Homes families. We can be reached at our same number, 256-896-4502, or by email at joseph@alabamafuneralhomes.com.
You've dreamed about the perfect house, a place to call your own, and a place to not only stretch out, but to grow. Auto Owners protects your house because to you, it's home. That's simple human sense. Happy to help, man. I was just over there talking to myself anyway.
Frontline Outfitters provides all your aftermarket parts for your cars, trucks, and as well as your professional tinting solutions for auto, residential, and commercial buildings. Frontline Outfitters also handles vinyl wraps, spray-in bed liners, truck accessories, LED lighting, paint correction and detailing, and much more. Make sure Frontline Outfitters of Alexander City is your first call for tinting and aftermarket solutions. Call us today, 256-409-8100.
Hillaby Towers is an affordable senior citizens community located in Alexander City on Highway 22 East. Spacious one-bedrooms are available now. Great location, peaceful setting, comfortable living where pets are allowed and utilities are included. Call today to find out more information on Alexander City's best-kept secret, 256-329-0552. That's Hillaby Towers in Alexander City.
Welcome back into the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown. Got 15 more minutes on this opening hour. Wanted to run down some playoff brackets and make sure that everybody is cued in on what's coming up this next week with high school playoffs starting here in Alabama. It's the funnest time of year for me. I'm looking forward to broadcasting a lot of these games moving forward. And on Thursday night, we'll start here in Ellick City as the Wildcats will play Sidney Lanier. Not on Friday, but on Thursday night. And keep in mind, this year's championship games will be over in Tuscaloosa again. So we're looking forward to that. But top end of the bracket in Class 6A starting there. Saraland takes on McAdory. Bottom side of that one's Carver, Montgomery, and Briarwood. So if Briarwood or Carver, I think those two teams are 2 and 3. I think Carver's the 2nd seed, Briarwood being the 3rd seed. If I'm right there, then they'll match up with a Saraland who will take it. They'll take care of McAdory, no doubt about it. Hillcrest Tuscaloosa, a top 5 team in Class 6A. They'll play St. Paul's. That's the St. Paul's team that really played Theodore well last night, losing 20-10. And on the same matchup there is Helena and Wetumpka. We've seen both of those teams. Scott, your thoughts, Helena versus Wetumpka. That one could be interesting, yes.
I think you have two different styles of play, which could make it interesting, as you said. But I think Helena's just so big up front that they could cause some issues for Wetumpka. But it'll be a good game either way. But I like Helena in that one.
Tough matchup for whoever gets away from that with Hillcrest Tuscaloosa. Now Benjamin Russell, who was the region champion, taking on Sidney Lanier again on Thursday night. They'll match up on the bottom side. With that matchup is Hueytown and Theodore. Hueytown will welcome Theodore next week. If Hueytown wins and Benjamin Russell wins, we'll host also the second round game against Hueytown. If Theodore were to come up from the southern half of the state and beat Hueytown and we were to win, we'd have to go to Theodore there in the second round. So those matchups, and staying with this bracket, Pike Road will take on Homewood. Good matchup. Really good matchup there in the first round is Pike Road will welcome in Homewood. Homewood's good. Homewood's really improved the last half of the season. Spanish Fort taking on Bessemer City. So that Pike Road Homewood winner would probably play Spanish Fort there in the second round. It's not the Spanish Fort that we've seen before. Spanish Fort has taken some tough losses this year, but you know we've had our tough draw with Spanish Fort over the years. So anytime you have a chance to play them, it's not going to be easy. But that matchup would be our matchup in the third round. If we were to get through either Hueytown or Theodore after Sidney Lanier in the first round, we would take on the winner of probably either Pike Road or Homewood against Spanish Fort. Scott, I like the draw. Yeah. I really like the draw. It doesn't mean that we make it through the first round. We've lost games. I've been a part of games that we've lost that are nightmares. Matching up with Montgomery, they get off the bus. I'm like, how'd they lose 4 games this year? Who beat them 4 times? I played Carver my senior year. They got off the bus. Oh, my gosh, what is this? And but you do. Sometimes the matchups seem on paper to be much better than they really are when you get out there on the field. But Sidney Lanier was defeated pretty handily by Viger, so I like our chances. It's not my job to sit here and give a spiel one way or another, but that will set up a matchup in the second round. It's going to be tough no matter which way it goes.
Yeah, and just shows the importance of winning the region, because I look at Helena and like the route now they have to go, or even if we to, just sticking with the Helena side, like they have a little tougher route. Some of the teams you'd have to play earlier in comparison now, but I think the Wildcats have a nice draw, and I think that there's really just a good opportunity for them to make some noise. And I'm really convinced that one of those 2 top teams in the region will be upset. And I think that whoever ends up playing from representing us will not have to play one of those teams. So I think a Saraland may not make it, or maybe a Clay Chalk may not make it. So if you made it to a championship, maybe you don't see a Clay Chalk for. If you make it to the semis, maybe you don't see a Saraland. So it'd be interesting to see how it plays out.
7A, let's run down this bracket real quick. Always interesting Class 7A because from top to bottom, very good teams in this one. Only 36 teams in the state in Class 7A. Central Phoenix City will take on Davidson. They'll handle that one pretty easily. And Baker takes on Auburn there in the first round. That's a really good game. That's an up-and-coming Baker team that is having a great year. They've got a great quarterback. They got some skill guys. And they'll take on an Auburn team that they're good, but they've shown some chinks in the armor this year. You know, they've had games where they haven't scored up to the level that we've expected offensively over the years. Still really good on the defensive side of the ball. So I really like those, which would set up a second-round matchup with Phoenix City against Auburn or Baker. That's a really tough second-round matchup for Phoenix City. Mary Montgomery takes on Dothan. Dothan is a program that I think you're going to be watching for years to come. They're a huge school. They're a new school that Smitty Grider actually started as the head coach, and he had some good years there. And Mary Montgomery taking on Dothan. On the bottom side of that, it's Enterprise and Daphne. Moving down, James Clemens takes on Hoover. Like Hoover's chances there, but James Clemens will host that football game, and then Hewitt Trustful and Bob Jones. So it's really a pretty good draw for a Hoover team that's had a down year. If you were asking for a draw to work out in your favor, this is a good one. Thompson welcomes Florence in, and then the bottom side's got Austin welcoming Vestavia Hills. Really, truly expect to see Thompson Vestavia in the second round, much like we saw last year. Class 7A, many, if you would talk about it, would point to Phoenix City and Thompson to be the favorites there. But, you know, the dynamic of what could possibly come out of Mobile is the storyline for me this year, Scott.
Yeah, and it would be – I love seeing teams that are, like, dominant and continue to, you know, build dynasties. I think that's a very great part of sports. But the other side is when you see that disrupted by some teams that maybe you didn't see it coming, and so they start to build upon things and see what they have to do to continue to be successful. So that Mobile area is poised to produce someone who's capable of taking out one of those top dogs.
Running down Central Clay in Class 5A. Central Clay will welcome UMS Wright. Two of the best coaches to ever do it in the state of Alabama will match up in the first round. Should be a super football game. Central Clay will have a potential opponent versus Hopeful or Headland on the bottom side of that bracket. Hopeful, you saw just easily defeating Tallahassee last night. This is a Hopeful team, I think, with 7 wins on the season. So Central Clay versus Hopeful there in the second round. If all things stayed equal, where would Gulf Shores and Central Clay match up? It would be in the third round of the playoffs, and we would have to wait and see how those would match up on who would be on the top side of that and who would host the other. Last year, that's a 9-2 Central Clay team losing to Gulf Shores in a very close football game that went Gulf Shores' way, and that'd make an outstanding third-round matchup, wouldn't it?
Yeah, there may be no matchup I'm more excited to potential matchup to see than that one. Left a bad taste in the Vols' mouth last year with that loss, and I think that they would love nothing more to repay the favor this year.
And probably going to have a good chance to do that. So should be a lot of fun. That's 5A, 6A, and 7A, and some local area teams that we have here to cover. If you've got ones that you'd like for us to run down and talk a little bit more about in this second hour, the phone lines will be open, 256-234-6221. We'll go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll move into the College Blitz segment of the show.
The Alabama Slammer. It's a popular drink at parties, but drink too many and you'll wind up in this Alabama Slammer. And if you drink and drive, get ready for a real Alabama Slammer. If you're involved in a crash where a driver's been drinking, you're 4 times more likely to die.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
There's only one clear choice in the Lake Martin area for plumbing, heating, and air. That's All Clear Plumbing and Air. Our professionally trained technicians offer full service repair and installation on all major brands. From drips to water heaters, thermostats to entire air conditioning and heating systems, and everything in between. Our fast, reliable, and guaranteed top-notch customer service will keep you informed and up to speed through the entire process. Call us today or look for us on Facebook and Instagram at All Clear Plumbing and Air, 256-496-2056. License number 19172.
If you haven't been to Big B Barbecue in Alex City, then you're missing the best barbecue around. Big B has everything from the best pulled or chopped pork, chicken, and beef to cheeseburgers and grilled chicken salads. Bring your friends and family out for a great dinner and sit outside on our beautiful patio, or sit inside and enjoy your meal by the fireplace. So come in and join us and enjoy the best barbecue in the area only at Big B Barbecue, located on Highway 22 West in Alex City.
Happy fall, y'all! It's Pumpkin Palooza time here at Gorey's Furniture. Make a purchase, pick a pumpkin, win a prize.
Every pumpkin has a number, and every number is a winner.
Discounts include free delivery, 10, 20, and up to 40% off, and that's only at Gorey's Furniture.
Happy Halloween from Gorey's Furniture.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice. Bice Motors.
Second hour of the program, Scott. Talked a lot of high school football there in the first hour. If you've got any questions, we'd love to hear from you, 256-234-6221. Moving into the second hour, our co-host, Brett Pritchard, on the road, heading over to Vandy, following the game last night. Took that 5-hour trek over to Vandy, and I think a lot of Auburn fans will show up over in Nashville and be there and be present. You know, I went to a Vandy-Auburn basketball game this past year, and there may have been more Auburn fans in that arena than there were Vandy fans that night. And I bet you that there'll be two-thirds of what you'll see there today will be Auburn fans, Scott.
Yeah, you look at the shortness of the trip, and then, too, Nashville's very Auburn-centric anyway. There's a split, obviously, with a lot of places, but there are a lot of Auburn graduates or alumni who live in Nashville, and so it's a good trip, and so I expect today to be very orange and blue heavy too.
Did get a message real quick on the high school side, and I'll give an update on that. Chris Foster did go out last night. He's got a shoulder injury. He played about halfway through the first quarter and then pulled him out. Malcolm Simmons sat last night. He could have played. He's got a thigh bruise. He didn't sit still the whole night on the sideline. He looked perfectly fine. But it was one of those deals where you're glad you got to sit him.
Yeah.
Because it has been an issue since the second half of Briarwood. And you may go, the second half of Briarwood, Randy, he made a touchdown catch, he made an interception, he made practically two-thirds of the plays moving down the stretch to win that football game. Yeah, but he was hurt.
Yeah.
And he was clearly hurt in that game. And he wasn't as hurt against Helena, it didn't seem like, but there were moments in time where he just wasn't at full speed. So it was great to get to sit him last night, and a great opportunity. I told he and Sedarian after the game last night, and Sedarian got chances that he hasn't been getting that many chances. And we saw what he can do with chances. He was running away from the secondary. He is special. He really is. He's special in a lot of different facets here and a lot of different sports that you're going to see. So a really good athlete. But, no, Chris is out. It's been
He went up for that ball. It was kind of sailed, and he went up, and he took the lick with it, and you could tell immediately that it was causing him a little bit of pain. But if I know him, he'll do what's necessary to be out there.
Hopefully he'll be back out there. But, yes, he did get hurt last night and did miss a good bit of action. But back over to Auburn versus Vandy, and today that's a matchup at 3 o'clock. Auburn's 4-4, 1-4 in the SEC, a 12.5-point favorite over Vandy today. That's 2-7, 0-5 in the SEC. Looking down the scores, Auburn with a victory over Mississippi State this past week for the first SEC victory for Hugh Freeze, 27-13, and Ole Miss goes down, or excuse me, Ole Miss comes over and defeats Vandy this past week, 33-7. Don't know how much you can look into that because I don't think Mississippi State's a very good football team at all. Ole Miss is pretty good, but this Vandy program is where they've been my entire life, at the bottom of the SEC.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I expect Auburn to cover, honestly. I think that this could be a game where we put up 34, 37 points, and, you know, it's a 34-17 type of game. Like, I think that we're seeing a little bit more energy offensively. Some consistency, I think, was what everybody's been searching for and asking for, and I think a lot of that had to do with, you know, we've talked about if you got two quarterbacks, you don't really have one. And so I think that what we saw out of Thorne last week is something that shows what his ceiling is. That's probably his ceiling there, but I think for him it's more about keeping his floor as high as possible. And I think that today's game gives him an opportunity to do so. And I think, honestly, there's a good chance that you win this, you win Arkansas, and, you know, Auburn sit with a good opportunity to win 7 games going into the Iron Bowl. And if you win that, and if you told me we went 7-5 with an Iron Bowl win, that would have been a successful year.
Be thrilled.
For me.
I mean, we would be. I don't know if anybody wouldn't have accepted that. And right now, the teams that we're matching up with, the closing out the season, are maybe worse than I thought they would be at the start of the season, especially Arkansas. It's not a good Arkansas team. Their quarterback is not a very good player. I thought he was, but when you watch, he looks overweight. He looks slow. They have no really culture that's built in there on what you know that they want to do offensively, and I think their coach is just holding on for dear life. I think he'll be gone. I don't think it'll be many more weeks. They'll probably give him through the end of the season because there's nothing to lose, but that is not a good Arkansas team. So all things pointing to a good close of the season if we can take advantage of a road game against Vandy today. Offensively is where Auburn, I'm hoping, is getting better. Right now we're the 98th ranked national team on the offensive side and 12th ranked in the SEC. We have ran the football pretty well. The 29th ranked rushing attack here in the country, number 4 in the SEC. The problem's been throwing the football. Auburn's only averaging 160.9 yards per game passing. That's 117th in the country and dead last 14th in the SEC. That's abysmal numbers, and you can point to it being Peyton Thorne's issue, the offensive line. I think everybody deserves some blame for where we currently stand. We did play well, 230 yards passing this past week, but I think we got to get some guys out there on the perimeter that can go and make some plays, and I think that's a majority of where the recruiting effort's going right now is to go get guys that can make plays to win games. Let's go to the phone line. Caller, you're on Sports Blitz.
Hey, guys, this is Luke. How's it going?
Good, Luke. Are you back in the living, buddy?
I am back in the living. It was a harrowing first 3 days to the week. That stomach bug will, if you get the wrong one, boy, I'm telling you, it's a good weight loss, but I don't recommend it.
Huge day for Alabama. So, Reed, just production note back there. We're going to carry this one over while we've got Luke on the phone because no bigger game in the country than LSU at Alabama today. That's at 6:45 on CBS. Luke, I'll just start there. Your initial thoughts on this matchup?
It should be a lot of fun. I mean, I think this game could go one of several different ways. Very unpredictable. A lot of people picking Alabama, a lot of people picking LSU. The spread is about a 3-point spread, which is what most people consider to be the number of points you get for a home field advantage. So I think the teams are pretty relatively matched, evenly matched, I should say. And maybe Alabama's got a bit of an advantage overall, but at quarterback, I certainly think Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the league and one of the top 2 or 3 in the country. So I think that gives them a bit of an advantage. And it's just going to be a lot of fun. I mean, normally these two teams and Georgia have the best athletes in the conference. And I don't think that's any different this particular time. I mean, these are the three teams that have been the most dominant in the SEC the last 25 years. Now, certainly, specifically LSU has had some seasons they'd like to forget, but they also had something like 2019, which was just incredible. They've had some national championships mixed in. They've had some other SEC championship games representation. So, yeah, these are the two of the three top teams in the conference over the last quarter century, and this game has really turned into maybe the best rivalry in all of college football right now.
Luke, from an Alabama standpoint, y'all have been on an amazing run with Nick Saban, but when I look down at Alabama's record and I think back of some close games over the last couple of years and seeing the record at 7-1 and 5-0 in the SEC, it's hard for me to not think that Nick Saban may be doing his best coaching job right now for a team that is good, got a lot of good pieces, but not to the level that we've seen in past. Just your thought as an Alabama fan and your sense as you're on air talking about Alabama Daily on y'all's podcast, the thought of the Alabama fan base on how he's doing this year.
Yeah, I think he's doing an amazing job. I mean, I know there are people out there who feel like, hey, Nick Saban's not getting any younger, and that's true, and neither are the rest of us. He just loves to do what he does, and I hope that all of us have the passion in our careers that he does at this point. And the thing that makes him such an amazing coach, and again, I can't stress enough how much I hate it when I hear people say, well, when you've got his talent, of course you can just roll the ball out there and go win. It just never, ever, ever, ever really works that way long term. It might on a one-off. It won't on a long-term basis ever, because the sport changes. You better adapt. And if you don't adapt, then you're going to die. That's the same for anything in business. I mean, you think about some companies that were strong 20 years ago and they're gone now because they don't know how to pivot. And Nick Saban knows how to change his approach, and he's actually gone into talking about that on his show recently, where he discusses, hey, I kind of figured out with this bunch, I don't need to be quite as hard on them. I need to be maybe a little more encouraging. And it's hard for us as fans to see the big picture, I think, on that sometimes. And because we're so used to the fiery Nick Saban, the one who's yelling at everybody and who should get in their butt a little bit. But, he's around them every day, so he knows better than anybody. It's just like Randy or Scott, when you deal with employees, and some of them you need to give them a little kick in the tail to get them going. Some of them, they need to be told, hey, you're doing okay. Just pick it up a little bit and you're good. Same thing with children. I mean, I'm telling you, I got 4 children. There's no way I can approach my motivational tactics the same across the board. And if I did, it'd really be kind of stupid, because I know, one thing for one kid won't get the same results as that same thing for another kid. You've got to know your people. And Nick Saban seems to have a good sense overall of this team about how, hey, they need to be not necessarily coddled, but told they're getting there. And they are getting there. I mean, they're playing a lot better. I mean, this Alabama team is certainly not in the line of 2017, 2016, not even close to 2020, but 2009, something like that. But they've got some dudes. They've got some players. If you look at, like, say, upcoming mock drafts, Dallas Turner, Kool-Aid McKinstry, J.C. Latham, Chris Braswell, Terrion Arnold, I've seen all of those guys in various mock drafts in some combination. So they've got some dudes, but they need to they just need a little help getting there. And not everybody is completely self-motivated. Not everybody takes constructive criticism well. So you got to be able to adjust to that, and Nick Saban's done a marvelous job of it.
Well, Luke, staying on Nick Saban, I think that to Randy's point about this being his best coaching job, it's not necessarily either just the on-field stuff. It's just the way that his demeanor's changed some, and like even I think his weekly appearances on Pat McAfee's show are fantastic. I was worried if he'd be able to fit in with that, but he's perfect for this, and it gives exposure to not only him but to the program and shows his ability to cross over in different demographics, age-wise. And so I think that he's really seems to be kind of rejuvenated, honestly. And when you start doubting people who have been at the top of their craft for so long, I think it gives that additional fuel that's needed to continue this run. And I think doubting someone like Saban is maybe the worst thing any of us could do, because we do it all the time consistently. We'll say, you know, maybe this is it for them, maybe it's not. And he does something that says, all right, he's still the best. And so I think it's even more so than just the on-field stuff, just his ability to reshape his image, I think, has also helped the program and kind of elevate him again to being to what is the best coach in college football.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, look, and Kirby Smart has certainly given him something to shoot for again. You know, when you're at the top of the mountain, Scott, and for so long, and nobody's questioning you. I mean, yeah, some rival fan bases are, but you know, deep down they're like, God, that guy's the best. I want him to retire. I mean, that's the joy I get out of it when I hear somebody try to doubt Nick Saban as an Alabama fan. I know they're searching the deepest depths of their innards to try and find anything to let them not say he's the best there ever was, because there's no other answer. He's the best there ever was. And but he's taken not a tumble. The program has slipped mildly, and I think that's sort of undeniable, especially considering their own recent success. That you compare these last couple of years to the previous years. I mean, look, Alabama hasn't gone a 3-year span without winning the league since Nick Saban's been there. They've never gone 3 years in a row without winning it. So this is the third year. They didn't or winning the national championship. Excuse me, I said SEC. So this is the third year. So they need to win that to keep up. And meanwhile, you see teams like Georgia, obviously. You see an Ohio State, a Michigan, whereas you know they hadn't won the national championship. They probably garnered and stolen some of the spotlight from Alabama, and you see some of the teams in the Pac-12 this year getting a lot of love, and deservedly so. I mean, 100% deservedly so. Florida State making a bit of a resurgence. You see Texas and coming back, Oklahoma being still pretty good. Their loss last week notwithstanding, all that stuff. And it's taken a little bit of the shine off of Nick Saban, and I think it's given him something to maybe aspire to. Okay, let's get back to where we were, because he said it all along, and I think it's been an adage that's been true throughout time. It's very, very difficult to be the king because, you know, it's so easy to be down low. I mean, I was talking to somebody about I think it was the Tennessee game, or maybe the A&M game. I can't remember which one it was this year, and it must have been Tennessee, because we were talking about how, man, you know, it feels like the crowd wasn't necessarily into it at first, and I said, look, what you don't understand is Alabama fans, this is going to sound horrible, but it's the truth. Alabama fans are so used to their team coming back and winning that we don't ever feel like, okay, we really need to be involved. But you look at something like Auburn this year, and everybody, you know, most of the games are really loud. Most of the games, they're into it no matter what the score is. I mean, they started out 0-4 in the league, but, you know, when they're at home, they're pretty raucous because Auburn's so hungry. They have kind of forgotten what it's like to be truly successful. And so they are fighting and clawing, and they know they need their whole fan base, their whole university, anybody involved with the program needs to be behind this to help pick them up. Well, I think Alabama fans are sort of like, you know, we'll be okay. And what Nick Saban was trying to say was, okay, guys, we need y'all now. Now y'all need to come back to the fold a little bit. And in the second half of that Tennessee game, it was actually kind of fun to have some doubt going into, you know, Alabama was down at halftime, and I was at the game. And while I was sad that we were down, I mean, I wasn't happy about it. And part of me was like, okay, this is a great opportunity for the fans to get back into this. And they did. I mean, they were great in the second half. I loved it. But it's not something I see all the time. So, I mean, it's just different. And, yeah, I guess it's a good thing that the fans aren't super hungry because it means the team has had a lot of success. But the bad news is you don't get to really enjoy the wins quite as much. And I think Alabama fans, again, y'all know I've said this for a while, I think we all need to savor these wins more and more and more, because eventually all these things end. I mean, it's going to end, so you might as well enjoy it while you're in the middle of it instead of having to reminisce about it.
Final question, Luke. Give us a basketball update. Alabama getting prepared like the rest of the SEC to get started with the season after an SEC championship this past year and a great season overall. Talk about Alabama's basketball team.
Really excited about the team. They've got some, Sam Walters, this true freshman lefty, 6'8", 6'9" kid that can really shoot it from outside. I had somebody within the program tell me what is a great compliment and also kind of scary. He said, the thing about this kid is he's got no fear, and that's great. The thing that's terrible about this kid is he's got no fear, and that can be scary, because if you don't know what you don't know, sometimes that's great, but sometimes it leads to a bad turnover or a bad shot or whatever. So we're going to have some growing pains with somebody like him. But then you got Grant Nelson, who a lot of people think will be first, second team All-SEC by everything is said and done. Great player, transfer in. Aaron Estrada, number 55 in your program, number 1 in your heart. He's a scorer. He's been the player of the year in his league that he transferred from for the last 2 years. And obviously Mark Sears, who didn't play in these first 2 warm-up games, that he's coming back, and he's been a really nice player for Alabama. So a lot to be excited about. And the first game is Monday night against Morehead State. Alabama's a 22-point favorite because when Alabama scheduled this game, Morehead State still had their leading scorer, and I think maybe player of the year from that particular conference coming back. But he got hurt, so he's out for the year. So that sort of takes the shine off that game a little bit. The first 3 games aren't super tough games for Alabama. They should be able to get through those. But my goodness, the rest of the schedule is one of the toughest I've seen in at least in Alabama history, if not college basketball history. I mean, they've got every single game is like Purdue in Toronto or Arizona in Phoenix or Ohio State in Destin. I mean, it's just on and on and on. It's going to be tough sledding. Clemson is going to have a great year, and they come to Tuscaloosa in that ACC SEC matchup thing that we're doing. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for it on Monday night. It starts at 7 o'clock.
Thanks for the update, Luke. I hope you continue to get better, buddy, and good luck to Alabama tonight, and good luck to all the Alabama fan base. A huge game. It always is every year.
All right, guys. Y'all have a great day.
All right, thank you. Luke Robinson right there. Go ahead and take a break. We'll come back. We'll continue to talk college sports, talk about the passing of Bobby Knight, some other news that happened this week in the world of sports. More of the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Life is a sequence of little successes. The story of my Southern Union success began the day I walked on campus, making new friends, mastering a new skill, reaching a personal goal, the encore performance, the first date, the internship, and now, soon, the dream job. That's the story of my Southern Union success. Register for classes and get ready to watch your Southern Union story come to life.
Sometimes the word tradition is thrown out there too lightly. But when JR's Sports Bar and Grill is celebrating 25 years of Lake Martin's favorite place for wings, chicken fingers, good drink, and good hometown folks, well, you know it's a true celebration. All of October, come celebrate with us for 25 awesome years. Chris and Audra are so thankful for each and every customer that's become part of JR's family. Come all month long, see our remodeling on the inside, and stay tuned for our October celebration event coming soon. JR's, a true 25-year tradition for the Lake Martin area.
If you're looking for something to do in the Lake Martin area, you have to go to Liquor by the Lake. Liquor by the Lake is not only the best place to pick up your hard-to-find liquors and craft beers, there's a bar. An awesome bar serving up specialty cocktails and martinis. And the best bushwhacker and creamsicle drinks at Lake Martin. Make plans to come out for happy hour Fridays from 7 to 9 with half-price beer and cocktails. And there's live entertainment on Thursdays. You can even watch the Alabama and Auburn games and Sunday and Monday night football. Liquor by the Lake, located on Highway 49 in the Big Fish Complex near Stillwaters. Open at 1 every day but closed on Wednesday. Come see us.
They say we live in an age of big data, where computers and fancy algorithms are supposed to know you best. But at Country Financial, we know helping you own your future requires, well, something much bigger. Contact your local Country Financial representative and start planning for your future with a personal touch.
When you need an automotive hero, you got to call S&S Discount Tire Pros. With locations in Alexander City and Dayville, we are here to serve you today. From quick services like oil changes and tire rotations to in-depth automotive repairs such as suspensions, brakes, and tune-ups, S&S can take care of all your tire needs. You just have to focus on what's important and love the drive. Call S&S Discount Tire Pros today. We are automotive heroes, and we are here to serve you.
Let's look around the country at some matchups today. You've got Bedlam, Oklahoma, taking on Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State, 2:30 on ABC. That is 6-point favorite Oklahoma, and that's an Oklahoma State team. The 6-2, 4-1, got beat earlier in the year. Was it South Alabama that beat them earlier in the year? Badly? Yeah, I want to say 33-7, or is a crazy score like that. But Oklahoma State still with a really good record at 6-2. Oklahoma with a tough loss knocks them out of undefeated territory, and they have been teetering around, losing some games the last couple of weeks. Did watch Oklahoma and Texas. That was a great game.
Yeah.
But should be a lot of fun there. A good matchup that's always fun to watch. Notre Dame at Clemson, the 4-4 Clemson team right now. Dabo's comments have been all over the news this week.
Yeah, and we referenced it a little bit in the first hour. And, you know, he's done a lot of things and said a lot of things that could rub people the wrong way. And I can see where people are some are very excited to see what's happening with him. But saying all that, I think that, you know, it is what it is if you're them, and you just have to retool. But this kind of is a really good matchup. Looking at going, like, you know, preseason-wise, if you just saw this, you know, this would be a really good game, which it will be today. But I really like Coach Freeman at Notre Dame, so we'll see what happens.
Notre Dame is 7-2. They're a 3-point favorite on the road at Clemson, 4-4. So that one's an 11 o'clock kick. That's going to be a fun morning game going on. Kansas State at number 7 Texas. Texas 7-1, 4-1 in the conference. That one's at 11 on Fox. Kansas State 6-2, 4-1. It's Texas favored by 11 points, I believe. No, actually, Texas favored by 4 points there in that matchup. That's probably about right. I would be tempted to go and side with Texas in that one.
Yeah, and we've got some friends. He's Kansas State grad, and they've been touting this as a team that really – they expected to have a couple of upset wins throughout the year, and this could be one of those.
Jacksonville State 7-2 at South Carolina, 2-6, 15.5-point favorite for South Carolina. Jacksonville State every year has got a good program, don't they?
I don't know how the final score is going to end up, but if I was somebody who liked to place wagers on games, I would take Jack State in the points in this one. I think that they're going to cover. I'm all over the Gamecocks today.
Arkansas 2-6, 0-5 in the conference. On the road at Florida, 5-3, 3-2 in the conference. Florida giving up 6 points there. 11 o'clock kick on ESPN2. I hope I continue to see Arkansas play as poorly as they have the last few weeks.
Yeah, it'd make me feel better about what we have coming into the year. But I think that this is a game Florida should. I think the spread's not high enough. I think that they're probably 10 points better.
Florida's an odd team, though.
Yeah.
They're just not there. I will say this for Florida. Brett and I had this conversation on Auburn Blitz a few weeks ago. They're recruiting at a top 5 pace, and that's really all you can ask in year 2 under a head coach. I think that's all we can ask under Hugh Freeze is you really can't consider this class a full year under Hugh Freeze. If he gets us anywhere near that number 10 ranking, you ought to be, just as happy as you possibly could be. But next year, if you want to make a turn for competing for championships, now if you want to just have a solid program, don't expect it. But if you want to compete for championships, Florida's doing it. I think they're ranked 3rd in recruiting right now.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little concerned. A good friend of ours, he's a big Gator fan, and we've been talking about it. And so he's like, he thought that the record would start to maybe get some people to pull away. But I think if people understand, and it's happening with Auburn now, they're looking at the pieces that are missing and say, all right, I could be a contributor, and that means something now. So as long as you're just not getting blown out, I think kids are smart enough to understand the value and what they bring to these programs.
And most of these programs, with the transfer portal, with the opportunities that are to, plug and play, they're not getting blown out. Yeah. They're not having those issues. Kentucky is at Mississippi State. Not a good Mississippi State squad. They're 4-4, 1-4 in the SEC. That's a 6:30 kick on the SEC network tonight. Kentucky program that has lost a few in the last few weeks after a pretty good start to the season. Kentucky giving up 3.5 points on the road at Mississippi State.
Still love what Mark Stoops has been able to do at Kentucky, and I like that. I know this is off topic a little bit, but just looking at some of these teams and their records and names of guys that we were wanting to go after before we finally settled on Hugh Freeze, and so I like to see, and I'm like, all right, we did okay. We did okay making the right decision in our head coach.
Texas A&M, big game today on the road at Ole Miss, 11 o'clock kick. Bigger game for Ole Miss or Texas A&M in your thoughts?
A&M.
A&M's got to win, though.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter because, that's who's going to be.
They're out of the mix. They're 5-3 overall, 3-2 in the conference. Ole Miss is right there in the thick of things with a chance to even make the playoffs if they can make a run here late in the season. They're 7-1 with their lone loss coming to Alabama, winning football games, 4-1 in the conference, able to come on the road and beat us, which they hardly ever do, over at Auburn. So a big win there.
Is it real, you think? I can't figure out if it's a facade or not.
No, it's not. They're winning. And they've been winning for 3 or 4 years now. Mm-hmm. So Lane Kiffin, I don't like him. I didn't want him as a coach. We pretty much went as hard after him. I think is if you read through if you read from everywhere out there that I am on the media side that is of interest and usually is dead on. I think we went after him as hard as we possibly could and end up with Hugh Freeze. Not that we didn't want Hugh Freeze too. I think that both of those two guys would have been good gets for most of the fan base. I didn't necessarily want Lane, but he's winning. He's a winning football coach right now at Ole Miss. A perfect fit, really.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, for them, it is a perfect fit because, honestly, he's going to win 9 games a year moving forward. And so if you're every 4 years, 3 years to have an opportunity to compete for a conference title, that's all you can ask for there, so they're never going to get rid of him, and that's a perfect campus culture or fan base for him. I think that's great for him.
Missouri's number 14 in the country. They're 7-1 overall. They're 3-1 in the SEC, and they got a chance today to really shock college football as they're on the road at Georgia. That's a 2:30 kick on CBS. Missouri way better than we all thought. Georgia we think's coming back, and then they beat Florida unmercifully this past Saturday. Your thoughts, Missouri, and their play? Can they make this one close at Georgia?
Nah,
I don't see it either.
Nah, it's not gonna happen.
Auburn's on the road at Vandy. 12.5-point favorite for Auburn. Auburn's 4-4, 1-4 in the conference. Your thoughts? 3 o'clock kick on SEC Network.
Yeah, I think that this will be a game. Like I said, I think the Tigers have a legit opportunity to probably score close to 40 today, and they need to. I think this is another confidence game. As we said, can really bolster their chances to get to 7-8 wins and be playing for a really good bowl game.
LSU's the 13th ranked team in the country, 6-2, 4-1 in the SEC. On the road at number 8 Alabama, 7-1, 5-0. Alabama giving up 3 points. As Luke said in the previous segments, pretty much the home field advantage for Alabama with that 3-point favorite. They always seem to be great games, and I expect the same tonight.
I love, my top college experience was being in Tuscaloosa in 2011 for the LSU-Alabama game, and that was a lot of fun. And so that intensity,
great teams, man.
Yeah, I mean the intensity that this game brings is there, and so I expect to be one of those classics today.
We talked about Alabama basketball a couple of segments ago with Luke. When we come back after this segment, we're going to head in, talk a little bit about Auburn basketball, and hey, that's the fun part of this year is we have 2 great basketball programs here in this state to go along with football. Being where it's been for quite some time, especially on the Alabama side. So we'll talk about that on the next segment.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice Motors.
Heritage South Credit Union in Alexander City is your community credit union, and they have been for over 80 years. Heritage South Credit Union proudly serves Tallapoosa, Coosa, Lee, Chambers, Randolph, and Chilton counties. From checking to business accounts, to share savings to club accounts, to their kids club and investments. Visit them online at myhscu.com. Heritage South Credit Union, your community credit union for 80 years. Federally insured by NCUA.
Planting season is here, and the Potting Shed Garden Center is happy to give you professional landscaping advice when it comes to planting your shrubs and trees. Auburn's best kept secret will have it all this fall. Mums, pansies, pumpkins, and much more. All an array of colors and sizes, along with beautiful pots and containers, indoor plants, and a great selection of other gardening gifts. It's all at the Potting Shed Garden Shop, where natural elements reign supreme. Located on the corner of Moore's Mill and Society Hill Road in Auburn.
Have you stopped by Lifesavers Mission Thrift Store lately? If you haven't, you should. You'll find great pieces for your favorite do-it-yourself project. Lightly used name brand clothing by Free People, North Face, Matilda Jane, Patagonia, and a whole lot more. And while you're there, don't miss the shoes, decorative pieces, classic and new books, and Auburn and Alabama gear that won't cost you a fortune. So stop and shop at Lifesavers Mission Thrift Store today for a unique thrift experience that won't break the budget. Lifesavers Mission Thrift, located on East University behind Zaxby's.
Lake Area Realty specializes in Lake Martin real estate. They can help simplify your next real estate purchase or sell, and have helped many home buyers and sellers through the area buy and sell real estate with precision. Lake Area Realty utilizes powerful marketing tools and knowledge of the lake to help you with your next move. Call your local hometown agency today. Lake Area Realty at 256-825-4800. That's 256-825-4800. Lake Area Realty, helping you find your way home.
Hi, this is Andrew McGreer at Dunning Roofing. At Dunning Roofing, we specialize in high-quality, premium roofs. We don't build roofs that just meet code requirements. We build quality roofs with premium materials that significantly exceed our competitors' warranties. We put money on your roof, not in our pockets. If you're looking for a top-quality roof, call Dunning Roofing today for your free quote at 256-307-7601 or visit us at DunningRoofingAL.com for more information.
Auburn basketball playing AUM this past week, and this game was close for the first half. I was having some texts coming across. I wasn't able to watch, and the game much closer than many expected, but Auburn able to pull away 102-66 win there. Most of the storyline, though, was around Auburn's two best players and issues with injury. Janai Broome goes down, what looks like a shoulder injury, comes back to the bench, has ice on it, doesn't play anymore, but I think everything's okay there. Aiden Holloway not dressing in the ball game, so a lot of story around that. So, Scott, basketball is here. There's some talent. There's some new faces with this program like there are all over. Only one of the players that Luke talked about with Alabama basketball have we seen. The rest are transfer ins that'll be new guys out there, and it'll be a lot the same with Auburn, won't it?
Yeah, and, we do have enough guys returning that there's some, name familiarity there, but this is kind of what you've grown to expect with college basketball, and especially with a Bruce Pearl roster. He's going to fill in guys and bring in the appropriate guys to make the scheme what it should be. But I'm really excited about this year's team, and I thought, last year was a little bit of a disappointment on a lot of levels. But I think that there's a legit opportunity for Auburn to be competing for an SEC championship in February and March.
You're still able to make an NCAA appearance last year, able to win a game in the NCAA, able to scare the number one seed for as long as we did. Just losing it there in the second half. And Janai Broom, an all-SEC selection preseason right now, 6'10", had a great offseason with NBA projections really taking a major jump forward. So if we can keep him injury-free and playing and keep him out there on the court, got to like Auburn's chances, especially scoring the ball around the bucket. Denver Jones had 18 points, 2 rebounds the other night. Baker Mazzara, 15 points the other night. It was Chaney Johnson with 14 points and did a lot of other great things, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Jalen Williams, 11 points and 6 rebounds. Cardwell, 9 points, 10 rebounds. Chris Moore, 8 points, 4 rebounds. Johnson with 7 points, Berman with 5, and Donaldson with 4 to round out the scoring for Auburn. We have seen a lot of these players, seen extended minutes for a lot of these players. It's not quite as wholesale turnover as some schools like Alabama right now.
Yeah, and which I think that's why I'm a little more excited coming into this season, just because the continuity that we have. And I think he was trying to figure things out with the roster last year, and now you kind of know what people's roles are. You know, somebody like a KD, who was really more of a 2 years ago was one of your main contributors and had to kind of step back last year and be somebody that was coming off the bench a lot, and I think you'll see that more this year. But very, very good team on the interior, which is something that when we have guys like a Janai who can play that way, our best team since Bruce Pearl's been there is when we've had somebody that we could go inside out. So I like this year's team.
Well, Janai not playing, and Auburn still scored 50 of their 102 in the paint. I think that bodes well moving forward. Now, an issue for Auburn fans the last couple of years is we're not getting the perimeter shooting that we had with Jared Harper and Bryce Brown and others, really Okeke and that crew that really shot it well from the perimeter. Auburn was only 5 of 25 from behind the three-point arc. Aiden Holloway not playing is probably a key to that. But still, Scott, the shooting from the perimeter is not what we had grown to expect when Auburn was hitting 10-plus threes a game during that stretch.
Yeah, how fun that was. You know, and it's early in the year, and it, you know, but we're still taking them, and at least so that lets everybody know that's still part of the fabric of what this team wants to do. 25 three-point attempts, and which is pretty much kind of what you're going to expect with this team, somewhere between 20 and 30 threes a game. But you know, I'm not overly concerned this early in the year, but you do want to start seeing that shift of where we are able to have that perimeter scoring, because that's what really has separated us from teams and allowed us to make some of the runs that we have.
I think Aiden Holloway, he tweaked his ankle, but all signs point to him being available for Auburn as they start the season on Tuesday against number 20 Baylor, and that's in Sioux Falls. That's going to be a tough matchup. It's a Baylor program that's won a national championship, physical brand of basketball. You know, we'll talk about Bobby Knight, but, you know, watching that Baylor program makes you feel like you're watching one of those old school programs. You and I grew up. You're a little younger than I am, but grew up watching some of those motion offense and heavy defensive pressure. And, you know, Baylor does that, dude. They got big physical guards that defend you well and play a tough brand of basketball. So that's a great matchup to start the season.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. Like, they're so big at the guard position, and so it could cause some disruption for a team like Auburn, who has, you know, some smaller guards. So it'll be a good matchup of chess there between the two coaches.
Go ahead and take another break here on the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown. We've got a couple of segments left. We'll bounce all around with some different topics that's going on in the world of sport. And when we come back, maybe we'll talk a little bit about Bobby Knight. I love Bobby Knight. I'll get your thoughts on his passing, 83 years old. One of the best coaches of all time. Whether you like him or dislike him, you can't question what kind of talent and what type of system and all the positives that he had for that Indiana basketball program. And not only Indiana, I mean, he had a solid run at Texas Tech where you didn't really want to play them late in the season either. We'll talk about that on the other side.
At C&T Electric, our clients are our priority. For the safety and security of your family and home, our technicians are professionally trained, drug-tested, background checked, and wear uniforms with name tags. We're proud to have served the Elk City, Dadeville, and Lake Martin areas for the past 10 years. Give us a call at 256-234-0007 for all your electrical service and repair needs, or visit us on the web at www.cntelectricllc.com and spell out the word "and."
Have you met your local farmer's insurance agent, Patrick Holina? He proudly serves Tallapoosa County and Alexander City families and businesses and is ready to review your existing policies or provide a no-obligation quote today. Call the Holina Agency at 256-234-0037 or stop in today at 704 Commerce Drive to get smarter about your insurance. Again, that's the Holina Agency, 256-234-0037.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
The food at Oscar's Cafe makes your mouth water. At Oscar's, enjoy great tasting catfish, or maybe you're just in the mood for one of Oscar's fresh salads. Even kids know the place for a fine meal is Oscar's with a great kids menu. Oscar's also has great tasting burgers full of backyard flavor. So come on out to Oscar's Cafe for great food and homegrown hospitality. We're located on Highway 49 South in Dadeville, just before the Blue Creek Bridge. And remember, it's all fun and games till there's only one cheese ball left.
Life is a sequence of little successes. The story of my Southern Union success began the day I walked on campus, making new friends, mastering a new skill, reaching a personal goal, the encore performance, the first date, the internship, and now, soon, the dream job. That's the story of my Southern Union success. Register for classes and get ready to watch your Southern Union story come to life.
The Eric McKinley team at Mortgage Pro continues to excel in making sure our clients have a smooth and pleasant experience with home financing needs. Families are struggling to make ends meet due to price increases and high interest rates on credit cards. Monthly debt can cripple a family from enjoying the special times in life. Property values are holding strong, and now is the time to take advantage of the equity in your home, saving hundreds of dollars a month. No money out of pocket and no payment until January 2024. Call the Eric McKinley team at Mortgage Pro today.
Lake Area Realty specializes in Lake Martin real estate. They can help simplify your next real estate purchase or sell and have helped many home buyers and sellers through the area buy and sell real estate with precision. Lake Area Realty utilizes powerful marketing tools and knowledge of the lake to help you with your next move. Call your local hometown agency today, Lake Area Realty, at 256-825-4800. That's 256-825-4800. Lake Area Realty, helping you find your way home.
Talking during the break, Bobby Knight passing this past week, 83 years old, 902 career victories. At the time was tops all time. He's currently sitting 5th all-time wins, 3 national championships as a coach, 1 national championship as a player in 1960 for Ohio State, where he was a 6th man, just an old bull of a player down low, and played in a system that was a lot of fun with Lucas there, was really their key player for Ohio State. But, you know, just as good as we ever had growing up, Scott, from a year in and year out basis, Indiana was in it. A little before my time, but the last undefeated team in college basketball is the 76 Indiana team. That same team in 75 made it to the NCAA tournament undefeated. So they only lose 1 ball game in 2 years. Scott Mays and Quinn Buckner, and man, they were loaded on that 75-76. They come back and win it again in 81. A lot of the same faces, but they had the only all-star NBA player that Bobby Knight ever coached in Isaiah Thomas on that 81 team. Win a shocking one in 87. I do remember that one like it was, honestly, like it was yesterday. Steve Alford with the three-point shot, really playing well and winning that one for Indiana. So they had 3 national championships in a 10-year span, and he ended up winning 11 Big Ten titles. Moves on to Texas Tech, where he had a good run there. Bobby Knight has a lot of doubters and people that didn't like the way that he handled some things, maybe on the court and off the court, but I don't think you can question what type of winning percentage that he had and what he meant to a lot of the Big Ten country.
Yeah, and, you know, when you talk about people's character or, you know, opinions of people, especially in the coaching profession, I always like to listen to what players have to say about him. And so his players loved Bobby Knight, and I think that that's more of a indictment on what, or more of a signal of what he was as a coach than any of the stuff. You know, he did a lot of things that, you know, today you could just never do. Like, you couldn't do it at all. But it was a different time, and so you don't have those guys anymore. And so that's the sad part about some of these legendary coaches and athletes that we're losing, is that they don't make them like that anymore. Or that level of coaching or intensity or tenacity isn't around as much anymore. And so we were very fortunate to have somebody like him walk the sidelines for so long.
Yeah, Bobby Knight, as we just mentioned, you know, also able to go out and take advantage of not having the best of talent, but to build a system up and to win the way that he did. And so, you know, Big Ten country probably never be the same. You know, you had Gene Cady over at Purdue at the same time. You had some great coaches around that conference. You know, I just feel like I grew up in an era as a college basketball fan with the Big East and the Big Ten and the SEC during Wimp and, you know, Sonny's era coming through the SEC with Auburn and Alabama and so many other great coaches. That was as fun as it ever could be. It was really when the game started being marketed to a level that you didn't expect until that point. And the Big Ten was kind of that tough lunch pail mentality league that won basketball games, maybe not as flashy as the Big East was during the time, but still was successful. It was a great era to grow up being a college basketball fan.
Yeah, I mean, the same way we look at Alabama and Georgia and Florida as being, you know, hotbeds for football or production of football athletes, Indiana was it. I mean, it still to this day, but like back then, Indiana was producing the best basketball players in the country. And so, again, just a testament to maybe how some things have changed. But Bobby Knight was, forget the throw chairing or any of that. He was a really good basketball coach. And if you listen to his players and people that coach with him, I think that gives you the indication of what he meant to them.
A couple more minutes before we close out of the program, and I'll get one more break in, and then we'll close out. And but one last thought on Bobby Knight. One of my favorite rants that you can pull up on Twitter all the time is Bobby Knight talking about Michael Jordan and coaching him in the Olympics in '84, and how well he played and how he was trying to get to Jordan. He couldn't come up. He looked down at the stat line, and he had 11 points and like 8 rebounds and 4 or 5 assists and 12 minutes of action. And he'd done everything out there on the court, and he thought he was the best basketball player and the best athlete to ever play basketball. And he's like, I'm trying to come up with something to motivate him and say anything to him. And he, you know, goes into the locker room and he starts talking about how Mike hadn't screened anybody in the first half, and Mike's reaction to him knowing that he's just coming up with anything off the top of his head is such a great rant for him. And it also tells you, like with he and Krzyzewski, how much outside of Indiana and Duke they had to do with basketball as a whole, with their interaction with the Olympic teams and interaction with the best players in the world, and how much they thought of the best players and how much the best players thought of both of them. I think that's more of a testament to how great those two were, equal to what they did in their college head coaching experience. So, again, we lost a legend this past week, and for us college basketball fans, it was a tough one to see. So we'll go ahead and take a break. We'll come back. We'll close out the program.
76% of nurses say they went into the profession because they wanted to help patients. No matter the reason you decided to become a nurse, you have all the tools needed to advance your degree at Jacksonville State University. Our Master's in Nursing program is now offered fully online and can be completed in less than 2 years. You can customize a flexible course schedule so you can receive your advanced education degree all while working on the front line. JSU Nursing, your opportunity to advance your career and serve your community.
This fall, nobody beats Martin's Sports Pub for Lake Martin's best sports experience. Martin's all-star lineup of cold beverages and pub fare food can't be beat, with the region's best wings, burgers, and signature dishes. At Martin's, you always have the best seat in the house for all college and NFL on our multiple 360-view TV and huge projection screen with surround sound. See our pigskin scoreboard weekly to win big money, and let our all-pro teams serve it all to you at the place we all win. Martin's, Highway 34, Dadeville. Satterfield Outdoor Living is Lake Martin's trusted friend for your outdoor land and leisure needs. We're the region's authorized Skag mower dealer for residential and commercial lawns and offer all the small engine accessories you need with top lines of Steel, Echo, Shindaiwa, Husqvarna, and Metabo products that can tame any landscape. Satterfield is also your grill headquarters with Big Green Egg Grill, and our pros service everything in-house and back up all sales. Get the Satterfield Outdoor difference on Highway 280 right across from Tallapoosa Ford.
At Russell Medical, we're proud of our exceptional nurses, like Nurse Brandy Worthy. Brandy represents the selfless, compassionate clinical leader patients expect and coworkers admire. Brandy was recently honored with the Nightingale Award for Nursing Excellence for her high standards, sound judgment, and caring manner. Her passion for her profession inspires us all.
Being a nurse is not just what you do, it's who you are. I'm proud to be a part of the nursing team at Russell Medical. We are the link between all hospital services, providing you with exceptional, personalized care.
Sometimes the word tradition is thrown out there too lightly. But when JR's Sports Bar and Grill is celebrating 25 years of Lake Martin's favorite place for wings, chicken fingers, good drink, and good hometown folks, well, you know it's a true celebration. All of October, come celebrate with us for 25 awesome years. Chris and Audra are so thankful for each and every customer that's become part of JR's family. Come all month long, see our remodeling on the inside, and stay tuned for our October celebration event coming soon. JR's, a true 25-year tradition for the Lake Martin area.
Hey, it's Brett Pritchard, and I'm here to tell you all about Sims Foods, who you know better as Wickles Pickles. Wickles Pickles, that 90-year-old recipe, wickedly delicious. Relish, okra, and pickles. From Saturday sandwiches, tailgate snacks, to holiday dinners with your family and friends. From their family to yours, Wickles Pickles, those wickedly delicious pickles.
Wickles Pickles, wickedly delicious pickles.
Talked a lot about it opening the show, and we'll close with it as well. Benjamin Russell with a win over Valley last night, 35-19. Moved to 8-2 on the season. What a tremendous job Smitty Grider and his staff is doing. 2 years in a row in Class 6A ball, where we're one of the lowest enrollment schools in the state, not giving us an excuse, but not taking that as an excuse, and finishing 8-2 in the regular seasons, winning the first region championship since 2013. Scott, I can't say enough good things about how well Coach Grider's handled his first couple of years here.
Yeah, and if you really think about how his tenure began, he was kind of just thrust into it with really no preparation, no spring game, had to assemble a staff very quickly. So to have the success you had last year and then to be able to build upon it this year, I think just sets the stage for what I hope is a nice little run of successful seasons for the Wildcats, and I'm hopeful too that we get to experience a good playoff run. Our community hasn't had one in a while, and I think that they're very excited for the opportunity.
A couple of lingering injuries that we'll see for next week. By the way, Sidney Lanier will be here at the Sportplex on Thursday night, kick at 7 o'clock. So not a Friday night game with Veterans Day being on Friday. It's a Thursday night game. Hopefully we'll have Malcolm Simmons back. He could have probably played last night if needed, a little thigh bruise, and seemed to be perfectly fine on the sideline. Chris Foster went out last night. Not sure if he'll be back, but we'll try to update you throughout the week. And Caden Hyde was back dressed last night, was long snapping, didn't play on the defensive side of the ball, but I think there's a chance that he could be back as well. So chance that a majority of the team could be there. And when you move into the playoffs, if that's the case, anywhere in the state, you call that a win. Central Clay with another win over Wetumpka last night, 28-7. They'll be in the playoffs. Reeltown region champion as well. Both of those teams finishing 10-0 in the regular season and region title. So 2A, 5A, 6A here in this local market. Great chances to watch some football teams that can move well into the playoffs and going to be a lot of fun. We've enjoyed it on this Saturday. We hope you have. For Scott Hardy, I'm Randy Lee saying thanks for tuning into the Saturday Sports Countdown.
So you want to build a home,
Build the home you want with America's Home Place. Choose from over 150 floor plans, then personalize. Tile back splash with granite countertops? Done. A spacious bathroom you've always dreamed of? You got it. Choose every detail, floors, cabinets, even the paint color.
How about electric lime?
Can't decide? Relax. At America's Home Place, we take care of it all. It's your home. Own it. America's Home Place.
Lake Martin Tractor and Outdoor wants you to know we appreciate a great year from all of East Central Alabama, and now our inventory of superior zero-turn mowers from Spartan and Mahindra tractors is on the move. Shop Lake Martin Tractor for outstanding deals, finance rates as low as 0% and low payments. Spartan mowers as low as $84 per month. Mahindra four-wheel drive tractors and loader packages as low as $399 per month, including cutter, box blade, and 20-foot trailers. Spring into 22 at Lake Martin Tractor and Outdoor, Highway 280 in Alexander City, or online lakemartintractor.com.
If you're seeing the American cockroach, throw up the red flag. Ladybugs, throw up the red flag. Ants and swarming termites, throw up the red flag. And kudzu bugs, throw up the red flag. That's Red Flag Pest Control. So the caution is on. Call Red Flag Pest Control today.
I'm Scott Davis with Red Flag Pest Control. Call me today, 256-825-0430.
Have you met your local Farmers Insurance agent, Patrick Holina? He proudly serves Tallapoosa County and Alexander City families and businesses and is ready to review your existing policies or provide a no-obligation quote today. Call the Holina Agency at 256-234-0037 or stop in today at 704 Commerce Drive to get smarter about your insurance. Again, that's the Holina Agency, 256-234-0037.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Farmers and Merchants Bank of Dadeville is building a foundation of strength and trust in the entire Lake Martin community. With our modern branch in Dadeville and caring, attentive staff, we've established Farmers and Merchants Bank as a reliable friend to your banking needs. Whether it's just a savings or checking account or any commercial, auto, or real estate loan, Farmers has local decision-making to build a relationship with you and your needs. Farmers and Merchants Community Bank. Strength, service, community.